More about short-term success instead of long-term success. Are you filming right now? Yeah. Oh shit. Hey, what's up? This is Miguel with the Attractive Man here with Duke. We're out here in Philly for a boot camp. We just sent the guys on a warm-up to do 20 approaches in 10 minutes. So if you want to take the challenge, do that right after this video. But we're talking about what do we want to talk about today. So I guess I'll share a little revelation I had last night. So one of the best things you can do to get good at anything very quickly, this is gonna sound crazy, but to actually reflect afterwards. So in dating, there's something called a field report, similar to what the military does. After every mission, they talk about what went well, what could we have done better, and what we're gonna implement next time. So yesterday, I went on a date, and I was telling Duke that I was more focused on short-term success instead of long-term. So what I mean by that, the plan was to go out to a restaurant that's near me and then come back to my place afterwards. So a little tip, have the girl come to your place first so she's comfortable coming back later. It's gonna make it a lot easier. So she came back to my place. I had red and white wine already ready to go. We had a glass of red wine. We hung out, the vibe was great, and here's where I messed up. I spent all the time at my place and was like kind of, should I go for making things happen right now? Should I not go for making things happen right now? And we ended up hanging out there for like an hour. Everything was going great, really getting to know her. And then we went out to dinner. And then here's where the tables kind of turned. When we get back, that's when I start making my move. We start making out. I lift her up, put her legs around my waist, guide her over to my bed, put her down on it. And of course now it's about midnight. She didn't really sleep the night before. She's tired, she's not really in the mood. So she ends up leaving. Opposed to what I should have done is think about long-term success and stuck to the plan, stick to the system. So I should have had the girl come over like you usually do, have a glass of wine, have her get comfortable at your place, and then go out for the real date. And then now when you come back, it's still somewhat early. She's attracted to you now. She's feeling comfort with you now. And now that you're at your place, where it's just two of you, now you can escalate. So my advice to you when you're on a date is kind of structure in that way, where you have the girl come over so she gets comfortable with your place, which will make it a lot easier later on to bring her over after the date. Hang out there for like maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, have a glass of wine, have a drink, have something ready to let her get comfortable and at ease. Go have the real date so that way you can come back early enough where things can actually happen. So what I want you guys to do with this is think about how you can set up a date. How can you structure it? So here's some guidelines to structure a date. First, you want to have her come over, so have something for her to do. So drinks normally work out well, especially if you're above 21. So I have some drinks stocked and ready to go. So I have red wine there, I have white wine there, I have tequila, vodka, and some drink mixes. So that way, whatever she drinks, you at least are prepared, or you can ask her first. So have her come over, say, hey, let's have a glass of wine or a drink before we go out. She's gonna be fine with that. Then have the date, and the way you wanna kind of structure the date is there's an idea of bouncing. So if you do a lot of events at once, it kind of builds that rapport, that relationship, and it seems like you've done a lot more in an hour than you actually did. So if you take a girl to 4 different places in an hour, it's really gonna feel like you hung out for 5 hours. So kind of what you wanna do, structure maybe like go out for a drink, go out somewhere for a quick dinner, not some place where you have to sit down, wait, order. I took her out to Bar Taco, which is just a place where you order tacos. They're like $2.50 a taco, really affordable, really quick, very chill, nice environment. And then you can take her out to go do some activity. Pool is a great one, something where you can like, oh, let me show you the right form and kind of get behind her and cuddle up. So activity, and then you can kind of end with maybe getting dessert. And the idea is you want to get closer and closer to your place and kind of guide it to where you want to end the night, which is ultimately your place. So maybe go out for food, go do an activity, and then end with dessert. Every girl loves dessert, and ideally what you want to do is find a dessert place near you so you can grab dessert and then just walk to your place, and now she's already comfortable going back to your place because she's already there. So that's kind of how you want to set up the date and structure it so it can go well and lead back to your place.
Yeah, you left kind of an open loop so you left kind of an open loop with the you said earlier that you're doing field reports. That means you're reflecting on what's going on, and then you launch into some awesome stuff about from yesterday. Great valuable great valuable information on dates and stuff, but you kind of left me wondering kind of the conclusion of the field report. Going over what could I have done better thing.
So I'm glad Duke brought that up. So for me, what went well was the fact that I actually had her come over. So this is kind of how I structured it. I'm like, hey, what's your favorite drink? I asked her that, and she's like, oh, I'm not too sure. And I was like, oh, the reason I asked is I was gonna grab some drinks for us so we can have one before we go out. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll be down for that. And then she said wine is good. So then I grabbed some red and white wine, because I wasn't sure which one she liked. I asked her, but she didn't text me back in time. She eventually told me red. Anyway, that's not the important part. So what went well was I actually got her to come over to my place before we went out. I got to know her while we were there, build up that chemistry, you know, get physical, let her know that I'm not interested to be her friend. We were hanging out in my bedroom, getting her very, very comfortable. And when we got back, that's when I escalated, pulled her in, started making out with her, threw her on her bed. So that's what went well. What could have gone better, and this is the revelation I had, is that I was like half-assing, should I go for it, should I not? And what ended up happening was, instead of sticking to the routine of, all right, hang out for 15-20 minutes at my place, go on the date, and then bring her back, I was hanging out at my place for an hour and a half. So what ended up happening when we went out, and by the time we got back to my place, she was already exhausted because it was almost midnight on a weekday. Because you have to keep in context, on a weekend, the date can stay out longer, but on a weekday, you have to know most girls have a 9 to 5, so when it comes to 11, 12, that's around bedtime for them. So that's the revelation I had. The thing I could have done better is brought her out earlier and think about the long-term success. If you think about it, if she was down to hook up with me before we went out to dinner, then you have to assume she would have been down after. And a larger percent of girls would also be down to hook up after. So go for those long-term wins, the more consistent wins. So like, yes, say if I did this 100 times, yes, there might be a small percentage of girls that will hook up with me before the date, but there's a larger percent that would hook up with me after the date once we had that time to spend together. So that's what I want to do more consistently. Say you're at the casino playing blackjack, and you know, I'm not familiar with blackjack, but there's certain techniques, and if you just stick to that technique, it really helps your odds. So that's what I'm trying to say here, is like the basic structure for a date: have her come over for 20 minutes just to get comfortable with your place, have a good time where you maybe get a snack, go get a drink, go do an activity, go get dessert, and then head back to your place, and that's when things go down. So that's what I could have done better, is stick to what I know works. We all know what we need to do. The question is, are you doing it? And sometimes, even though I've been doing this forever, even I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. So that's the revelation I had last night. All right.
Awesome.